Brace yourself for some more volatility. Holy moly. You know, I wasn't planning on doing a brief tonight either, but given the after hours session that's taking place right now, I quickly want to just have, under 10-minute stock market brief here today just to kind of go over my thoughts going into tomorrow's trading day. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. All right, everybody, welcome back. We're going to start off here with the dashboard. So first and foremost, let's just hop right into what's going on after hours. Facebook just reported earnings. This is such an incredible move. This is very similar to what we saw happen with PayPal. We're talking big mega cap companies getting absolutely obliterated. This is very, very dangerous territory here. And being that it's a big mega cap company, it's going to take others down with it. You can guarantee to see that kind of volatility going into tomorrow, and I'll show you some of these charts here momentarily. But I mean, when you just zoom out of this, okay, and you're looking at this big red candle, that's the after hours. It's trading down to around 250 right now, okay? If you just look to the left of the chart, I mean, we haven't been down to those levels in about a year, maybe longer. So it's wiping out pretty much an entire year's worth of productivity and movement to the upside. So just a vicious move. If you zoom in, you can just see right here just how powerful that one candle can be. And it was in the matter of, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Spotify, they reported on earnings too. And, I don't know where they're going to end exactly, where they're going to open up. But, it was down to around 155 and we started to see a little bit of a bounce from there. But still, nonetheless, it's getting hammered. Matterport was another one that reported. It's down around 7.5%. Like I said, I don't know where it's going to open up exactly. But there's just a lot of volatility happening right now, folks. If you look at the Arkk fund, Tesla is one of its biggest holdings. I think still at this point, it's down 4.6% in the after-hour session. That's coming off from already a pretty horrible day, right? It was down 5% just yesterday. So, this is buckle up type of territory for sure. NVDA, it's down around 3%, or it was down from up to 3% down in the after hour session. And now we're starting to catch a little bit of a bid. We'll see where that opens up there too as well. And then if you just take a look at the Qs and the SPY here, so Qs first, it's already being affected in the after hour session. This is just right now currently, if I look at NQ, which I don't have the chart up right now, I think it's even getting hit a little bit harder. So expect to see some downwards pressure on the open. We'll see if we get a bid back up. Be very careful on buying those type of dips as this environment is very, very shaky. So once again, gas off the pedal here. This is not where you want to try to scalp a bottom by any means. You can, if you catch the bottom, good luck on you. But chances are if you keep that, strategy up and try to catch all the bottoms, you'll eventually get hit and one of them will be wrong. And that will cause a lot of pain and damage to a portfolio. Okay, so yeah, it's trading down, to 361 where it closed at, or around 368. So pretty aggressive move to the downside. SPY also down in the after hours session there too. If we take a look at the 11 sectors, how did they perform today? A big flip flop from yesterday. Talk about rotation from risk on and risk off. It just flip flop. Okay, so utilities, healthcare, consumer staples, they're pushing up. Real estate's pushing up. This is a risk-off type move, and gosh, it could be risk back on tomorrow, right? This market is volatile. This is what it does. It puts us in the throes of all of this crazy price action. And what's interesting to me is when I ran my watch list this weekend and I shared it with the Discord, pretty much the majority of them all utility names. And that to me was kind of just a defense type thing. I don't typically get just an abundant of utility names, but that's what I was being given. Some consumer staples, a couple energy names there too as well. If we take a look at the dollar pulled back a little bit. That probably helped propel not only gold, but the S&P 500. But now we're running into that 96 area where the 20-period moving average is. If the S&P 500 comes off tomorrow and we see some sort of risk-off type move, I would imagine to see the dollar actually catch a little bit of a bid or go sideways. If you take a look at oil has been just going, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trading days, still negative divergence, still watching this, still looking for a crack below 86. But right now it's just kind of floating sideways. Gold was up on the day, still within this pennant pattern, nothing too crazy going on. Here's something interesting. Bitcoin, we've said this multiple times. Bitcoin sometimes looks like almost like a leading indicator of the S&P 500. And Bitcoin, I saw a pretty bad day overall, right? Down 4%, down 1,593 points there. We're kind of cracking this bear flag. So be be careful here, right? So the relative strength between Bitcoin and the S&P 500 started turning back down. This is not a good sign. So we saw the S&P 500 get some momentum to the upside, and the Qs, still kind of like moving to the upside. But we're starting to see crypto kind of giving us a heads up, saying, hey, it's selling off right here. So we'll see if that correlation kind of continues, that this is selling off, and that might give us insight to tomorrow, which it kind of already seems like we're going to have a down day tomorrow if the market can't recover some of these losses in the after hour session. Ethereum, very same situation. It's down 3%, just a little bit more than that, and we're catching, we're just following this trend line up, a very steep trend line, and steep trend lines, they eventually get broke. So imagine if we get break down here soon, eventually we'll consolidate, or we might try to pop up still higher. It's still all in the cards. It's just not looking all that great right now. Daily charts, S&P 500, the SPY did get outside of the range, the weekly options risk range. However, now, if we look in the after hour session, it's coming right back within that range, as it was trying to kind of tag that 50-day moving average. Be mindful, 50-day moving average, it's declining. Also be mindful, this move, this rally, it's a very aggressive move, right? It's going to get consolidation, or it's going to get some sort of a pullback. That's what happens in these markets, okay? So if we start cracking below the low of this candle, 453.05, and we actually if we close below it, that would be a pretty bearish sign that we can head lower. 450, right? It's been support and resistance. Maybe 450 acts as a little bit of a support there too. So maybe we pull back there, maybe catch our legs a little bit, shake off this Facebook stuff, and then maybe we can go higher. But as it stands right now, what we need to be very cautious of is a break to the downside on high volume. That we need to be very careful for. If you take a look at the Qs, we also perpetuated outside of the risk range too as well. 200-day acted as an area of support. Coming into tomorrow, I would imagine this is going to be back into the range, given the poor earnings there on how the market responded to the earnings of Facebook. If we take a look at IWM, also tagged that upper range too and started to sell off a little bit here. So it didn't get quite above it. It just kind of tagged it and then started sinking off. So we'll see here if we start seeing, more aggressive type selling on higher volume. But as it stands right now, it was just a sideways day today. No, not too much damage, but it was the only indice that wasn't really positive on the day, right? This is down 0.99%, so 1%, and then everything else was pretty much up on the day. So interesting overall. Perhaps maybe, IWM had its down day. Sorry, let me go back to the daily chart. IWM had its down day, and now people might look to small caps to catch a little bit of a bid while, big tech is kind of sold off into, and then maybe we see small caps perform better tomorrow. It's really too hard to tell at this particular point in time. So we just got to be very mindful. It's going to be an interesting day tomorrow. I can't wait to report on that one. Let's take a look at some 15-minute charts. So the SPY, this gray box, that's where the price action currently is after hours. We had this very tight wedge on a negative divergence. Now we're going to be opening around this point unless there's something amazing happens. So if we get continued selling, start looking at this green area of support, which is the 5-day moving average that is inclining. So even if we come off, there's still a potential area to catch some support around, okay? The Qs, it looks like the gray box here is where it's trading in the after hour session as of right now. If we get some continued selling, start looking at the 5-day moving average and the green line, which is around 357.54, an area of support. IWM, little head and shoulders pattern right here, and I didn't draw a gray box because I just remember where it was at. After our session's trading around 200. So we'll see here if this breaks and it plays to the downside. Look for the 5-day moving average. It's flat to neutral right now. So, if we come back down, that could be, potential stopping point for the day, or a bounce point intraday if it actually comes down that hard and fast coming into tomorrow. Let's take a look at a couple signal charts. Not much to report here other than this. Very strong move right in the New York Stock Exchange as we're seeing in all these indices. Notice here how we broke down, and it's very typical to get back tests, okay? So just like we see in the indices on the daily time frames and, various stocks, it's very, very, very typical on big breaks to the downside to get back tests. Okay, and what we're seeing right here in the advanced decline line is a back test, and now it's kind of coming off as this kind of just elevated a little bit higher. So, if this starts coming off hard and fast, I would imagine to see the New York Stock Exchange here, then NYA follow. Another thing to point out is we talked about it getting overextended here on the advanced decline line, and you can see it's coming off hard and fast as the price action continues to move up. So that is diverging from the current it's basically saying the price is going higher, but the internals are weakening right here, which tells me that, be very mindful that there could be some downside up ahead. If we take a look at the BP-NDX chart, that is still screaming higher, and we're almost into that overbought territory. That's all I really have for you on today's video. Really, Really just got to be very, very careful going into tomorrow's trading session. It's going to be a wild ride, that's for sure. You know, today and the previous trading day was just a bunch of chop, right? It was just chopping back and forth and not giving us anything. Now we're starting to see Bitcoin break down a little bit, you know, and these indices kind of slowly moved a little bit higher. If we get a high volume break, be careful and be on the lookout. See y'all later.